A Meditative Way of Life. By Ami Ra, Wise. Forward, by Ta Wa, See Wise. This is a Wise Values publication. Wise Values is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, focused on addressing health disparities, food insecurity, and environmental injustice. Learn more at wisenpo.org. Chapter 3. Becoming Meditative.
Meditation is a practice of simply being, which allows us to be fully present and aware from the core of our existence. Drugs, certain foods, and other distractions keep us from simply being and instead causes us to find an escape from experiencing our truest inner state and condition. Meditation has become a difficult and dreaded experience because it allows us to acknowledge the pain that torments, the regrets that gnaws, the bitterness that hardens, and the anger that inflames. These realities are the byproducts of making decisions to appease external pressures within a society that is in violation of righteous order. Every attempt to align with a destructive society is also widening the disconnection from our core being. Hence, we gain the world at the expense of our soul. The social outcomes are a measure of the results of gaining social domination to rule the world and exalt a personality. Discovering our meditative inner presence is a challenging and even arduous journey after a lifetime of superficial relating, a hyper-external focus, and a super drive to jump social hurdles to gain acceptance. It is uncomfortable and confusing as we try to sit down, be still, and be quiet in our search for meditative presence. We feel anxious. Our thoughts are wrapped around many concerns and worries. We are impatient with our lack of discipline. We feel aches and pains throughout our body due to poor posture, tension, and muscle tightness. We hear mental chatter, songs, playing in the background of our thoughts. Whether we are replaying our last argument and defending our actions, worrying about how we will pay the bills, stressed about an upcoming exam, or trying to figure out how to acquire something we want, we are not relaxed or calm. Our actions and our lives are driven by stress and anxiety. Why? Because we are not connected to the truth, the answers to our nagging questions about how to have a happy, peaceful, productive, and successful life. We have looked for answers everywhere but within. Therefore, starting the meditative journey is not a quick fix proposition. All our problems will not magically disappear after sitting uncomfortably with our legs crossed for 30 minutes. However, the more we give space to spend quality time with our being, the closer we come to reconnecting with our soul. Tuning out media and other forms of sensory stimuli. Sitting in silence. Being in nature. Reflecting on our past experiences, examining our mistakes, and correcting our wrongs. Thinking through healthy choices, nurturing, and caring for our bodies. Breathing deeply, stretching, and exercising. And patiently responding to conflict and problems cultivates a meditative way of life. Present-centered focus allows one to attune and attend to the various dimensions that make our sustainable processes possible. A meditative way of life is a pathway of living by cultivating positive principles and practices to guide our attitudes, behavior, and decisions. Through meditative practice, we observe and respond to our mental, emotional, and physical condition from a spiritually cultivated affirmation of wellness. This way, we apply consistent corrective actions to support gradual, personal change and improve our human condition. A meditative way of life begins with slowing down to process our experiences and examine our reality. Within this reflective place, we learn how to release our anxieties, fears, and hostilities. Our reflection guides us to applicable solutions to improve our health, establish wellness, and support our goals. A meditative way of life is a way of life that allows us to manifest a holistic, natural, and sustainable reality. We can find our way to support whole life wellness by carefully thinking through our choices and dismantling limiting programs that stifle our success. We can operate from the spiritual core, where all material things manifest. A meditative way of life is the product of choosing to exit abusive relationships that will ultimately lead to negative and detrimental consequences. Therefore, through affirming wellness, peace, and prosperity, we begin to see a new set of choices that gives us the option to transform our reality to sustain our wholesome health and naturally provide our needs. Humanity has progressed through gradually distancing ourselves from social contracts that deplete and deprive us. Some of our ancestors had all odds stacked against them. They were deemed the lowest in society and existed in inhumane conditions. Society sought to condition our ancestors to accept abuse by imposing a belief that they deserved to be degraded due to their race, class, religion, or gender. Many of our ancestors died under the weight of oppression and adapted the beliefs that caused them to accept their social plight. There were some who defied the social dictates. They were able to maneuver around the lies and illusions that blanketed their society. They found their way to a better, more wholesome reality. Also, they dedicated their lives to helping others affirm the truth to find salvation. Our social systems and structures that advance solutions and uplift human suffering are the product of deep reflection and examination. This cultivates righteous principles and practices as a corrective measure to address injustice, social abuse, and social disorder. Everything that human beings have manifested started either from a reflective calm, sureness, or an anxiety-driven desperation. We have pursued our goals with confidence, wellness, mental stability, and emotional strength, or with self-doubt, illness, mental insanity, and emotional pain. The results are reflective of the contrasts. Meditative practice has provided a guiding light for many oppressed and impoverished communities and people who were subject to inhumane suffering. In these predicaments, the social methods to have a better life, such as financial security or education, were out of reach. Often, the social support needed to achieve some form of safety, security, and stability were non-existent. However, while some concluded that they were worthless, turned to crime, or submitted to abuse, a few had a deeper inner knowing that the system that abused them was corrupt and therefore not worthy of their submission. This inner knowing that they continued to cultivate and affirm paved a way for them out of their suffering. These change agents defied the odds and impacted humanity even though they were considered poor or uneducated. We can find many examples of these miraculous feats in which people have overcome odds that were stacked against them and triumphed even beyond the privileged. This ability starts with deciphering the falsehoods dictating poor human conditions and understanding the truths that sustains wholesome social realities. These are found within our consciousness and become the driver of our lives. Limiting beliefs causes us to make choices that affirm those false limitations. However, when we reflectively sit with ourselves, we identify what we must weed out and what we must cultivate into our consciousness. Through affirming the truth about who we are and the truth about what we can achieve, we liberate ourselves from social limitations. We disentangle ourselves from the lies and illusions dictating society. We find ourselves in a new dimension that is not governed by exploitation and oppression. Therefore, a meditative way of life is not just for personal calmness and inner peace. A meditative way of life is a revolutionary tool that can allow us to transform the world by simply affirming the truth and applying carefully considered corrective actions and solutions. Our reflective stillness is the most effective tool to remove the shackles binding us. Our distractions, anxiousness, and conflicts are the very elements that keep us stuck and entrapped in deficient realities that undermine our potential. The conditions of our personal lives and collective world demands that we be still and find silence so that we can hear a higher frequency of thought and attune to righteous reasoning that will guide us out of our troubles and teach us how to solve our problems.